Alright, so I have done everything within my power to even attempt to fix this. It's not really going my way, so I'm just gonna dive in. The reason that I chose this title to be Slipping Purposefully is because the Freudian Slip deals directly with the unconscious mind, slipping on accident purposefully because there are urges and desires within you that you may not be aware of and they just come out is the simplest way that I would put that. So like I said, slipping purposefully, the Freudian slip in media. I don't know why I said it like that. Please kill me. And my name is Celeste Smith. So first, to dive in, to me, to understand the Freudian slip, you have to understand the concept of the unconscious and repression. Sigmund Freud is somebody that studied the levels of consciousness. Now, I am aware that he was not a psychologist, he was actually a doctor, but it is hard to ignore the developments that he did bring up. The picture on the top left actually is going to be, to me, a depiction of what he considers to be the mind, the brain, the levels of consciousness, that tip of the iceberg, that is that 10% that is also dearly loved and explored. That 10% theory is basically saying that only 1/10 or 10% of your brain is conscious, and the other 90% of your brain is unconscious. It is unaware, it is inaccessible, things that are unbeknownst to you. On a conscious level, on a self-aware level, basically. And then we also have repression, which is kind of that other side of it. Repression is to hold back or to force down. And to Sigmund Freud, that is basically the aspect of, mind you, Sigmund Freud relied heavily on the sexual and aggressive endeavors of the consciousness, the brain. But when we look at repression, there is the aspect of, sexual urges, aggressive urges, there is insecurities, there are traumas there, repression, anything that you want hidden, you do not want at the forefront, you do not want to be reminded of. And on a very dramatic scale, when I think of the levels of the consciousness and repression, Shutter Island is a prime example for me personally on an extreme level. Leonardo DiCaprio, he plays somebody that is he's just lost. He suffered a great deal and he did not know how to come back from that, and he suffered a great deal mentally. And so with that, they masterminded a mental facility where he is the one that goes in and he does the deep diving for solving a crime. And in the end, if you watch it or if you don't, the plot twist is chef's kiss. But to me, that is just such a direct correlation of this concept on a broad level. Now, to narrow it down, like I said, I wanted to focus on the Freudian slip. That is basically what some people call the slip of the tongue. When I was thinking of this concept, the aspect of an intrusive thought and an impulsive thought, they kind of aligned with that for me on a base level. When you're affected by things outside of you and then they come to fruition, or they become a thought in your brain, or even, it, like, for me, I have undiagnosed OCD to an extent. So when I see somebody that has like a tie or a button or something that's unfixed, impulsively I want to fix that. And sometimes I do. That kind of thing is where that aligns for me. Now, the Freudian slip, what that looks like actually is taking things that are taking what you want to say and you end up switching it with something that is buried. Sigmund Freud was really big on the repression of these thoughts and like the unacceptability of these thoughts and desires, these urges, and how they come to the forefront. And when you're talking, it can be, oh, wait, what was that? Or, and oh, I get it kind of moment, a light bulb, one might say, when this happens, because there is something that you are facing within yourself when you have these slips. And I will say that in media, there are plenty of times when this concept is broadly touched on, and of course falsely represented. And I do have a couple of videos to show you, and then at the end of this video, if you want to, you can hang tight. Some of them are extreme or unserious or, you know, slight humor in media, but there is a consistency in the accidental verbiage that is not meant, but it happens, and then there's a realization that comes with it. And then let's see. So this is my first example. It is very dramatic, very unrealistic, to me at least.
Nothing could be my father from the truth. Who? You said my father. No, I didn't. How? Did not. Shabba! For me, this is a dad issue. Dad issue! Dad! Deadbeat dad! Oh. Daddy didn't love me!
So, the biggest part about this example in terms of misrepresentation is going to be the fact that Sigmund Freud does not believe that the aspect of this Freudian slip is, you know, a series of back-to-back realizations, and it's blatantly stated as to what this deeper level insecurity is. He mentioned his father multiple times, and in the end, he ends up saying that his dad never loved him. In all reality, this wouldn't be a series of dad, oh my gosh, my dad never loved me kind of realization. It would just be a slip up, and then 9 times out of 10 there would be a feeling of awkwardness or tension amongst them or themselves as well. And then here's another example.
Hi, Ross. Take the Emily. Take the Rachel.
So to me, I've never been a big rom-com, but I do love a good sitcom. This theme is very common, I would like to think, where you're with somebody new, you say your ex's name, or you're with somebody, you're thinking about somebody else and you say their name. The reason why this isn't a great representation of the Freudian slip is because Rachel is actually physically present in the building, let alone she's sitting almost front row at the wedding. So it is expected of her to be at, you know, the forefront of his mind. They were friends for a long time, and, you know, they were lovers, they were in a relationship. So with this, the fact that she was physically present is a concept where that could have called her name forward instead of it just being something that's repressed in the unconsciousness. I'll also say that there have been more recent studies in terms of the cognitive functioning of this aspect, in terms of how, you know, we relate people in our brain, how we categorize them. And a big one is, you know, when you're in a big family and, you know, your grandma or your mom is saying all of your siblings' name before they get to yours, you guys are all categorized in that same category in the brain. And so a more recent aspect is the fact that, you know, you're pulling somebody's name from a similar place of feeling or place of experience as well.
Ham, you can draw, kind of. Why don't you work with Phyllis on drawing a picture of the exposer that I can post around the community?
Phyllis?
Phyllis, sorry. I've got penises on the brain.
With this example, what we are looking at is not Freudian slip. It is actually what I would say, he just had the crime on his mind, basically. In this episode, Dwight is looking for a flasher that is at the office and happened to flash Phyllis, and so he's very over the top and dramatic in the show in general. So he's, doing everything in his power to try to find this man, and you know, phallus, it's not an unconscious desire or an urge that he's just been sitting on. It just ends up being an a spur of the, not even spur of the moment, but what's on his mind just came out, even though it wasn't something that was supposed to or necessarily appropriate. It was just relevant to his train of thought at the time. I will say that is my last example for this presentation, but I will go ahead and play this clip that I just kind of compiled together of some different instances where Freudian slip wasn't that prevalent, wasn't that noticeable, or was over the top, not applicable at all. Even one of these is, oh, not my 1%. Even one of these clips is Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory using his computer to do a Freudian slip on accident. So enjoy.
One of my patients had a rather amusing Freudian slip. He was having dinner with his wife, and he meant to say pass the salt, but instead he said, "You've ruined my life, you blood-sucking shrew."
It's because of me that my life is in the arms of another man.
Oh, well, you mean wife, don't you, Dr. Crane?
What?
You said life. It's because of me my life is in the arms of another man.
Some hiney would be nice.
Hiney?
Honey.
And his partner, and we've had trials. We've made some mistakes. We've had some sex setbacks.
Like I said, that is the end of my presentation, and thank you so much for watching.